members. I call the Honourable Member Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Kia ora. I rise to take a call on the National War Memorial Pukeahu Empowering Bill. Mr Speaker, the Green Party supports the National War Memorial Park, but we will not be supporting the National War Memorial Pukeahu Empowering Bill in its first reading, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, we support the memorial, we support a park. As a Wellingtonian, I'm excited by the idea that we will get a bit of green space, a bit of quiet space in an otherwise pretty busy and hectic part of the town in Mount Cook. We think it's important that we do commemorate the people who have fallen, immortalised around this chamber. Mr Speaker, I was recently in London where I got to see the new New Zealand War Memorial in downtown London, and it's a great example, I feel, how we can have modern war commemorations which don't go down the traditional mould. I know Australia's still got the traditional one in the park next to ours. They can be powerful, emotional, reflecting our national character, and I think that's a good example of that. Mr Speaker, the bill the Green Party will not be supporting because it is drafted in such a manner that overrides the Resource Management Act, the Historic Places Act, the Public Works Act, and takes from the CERA, the Canterbury Earthquake Reconstruction Act, the provisions where further rules can be amended by Orders in Council. Mr Speaker, I think it's important to reflect on why the Green Party is opposed to this. We're opposed to this because this is a damaging precedent in our democracy. I've gone through the history, Mr Speaker. I'm aware of a number of bills and acts which have been enacted by this Parliament over the years to enact transport projects like the Tauranga Expressway, there's a few more, the Auckland Harbour Bridge. None of them used the powers, the immense and considerable powers outlined in this bill to override legislation. In fact, the only examples the Library could find this afternoon was the Canterbury Earthquake Reconstruction Act and the Rugby World Cup Act passed under this current government's time in the government benches. This is the only government who's drafting laws which allow themselves to override any laws, or in this case a constrained number of laws, that they want. This is the only government who's drafting laws which allows them to amend future laws through Order in Council. We think it's a damaging, dangerous precedent, and while we don't think it's likely to be abused under this law, we don't think it's the path this Parliament or this country should be going down. We support the democratic rights of law, the due process that our soldiers went overseas to serve, to protect. Now, I have not heard from the government or the Labour Party benches the reason why we have to have a legislation to override these three laws and to give themselves other powers through Order in Council. The reason. What is the reason? And I think we all know, but it's embarrassing because we don't want to mention it, is that the government hasn't given themselves enough time to enact it, to get the time to go through the normal processes, because they scrapped it. Now, the history is in 2004, Helen Clark first announced the formation of this park, which the Green Party supported. In 2007, Labour put $10 million towards it. In 2009, it was the government in their line-by-line review which removed the funding. Now, the only reason why we have to do this, I think, amazing and dangerous precedent step of passing laws to build a road and a park is because the government hasn't given themselves enough time to do it. Because the government scrapped the money. Because the government has raided the transport pantry, there isn't enough money left for projects like this because they'd rather spend it on 7 uneconomical roads of national significance. This is the real issue we should be addressing. So while I'd like to stress that the Green Party supports the War Memorial, we support the park, we don't support the process which is going through it. And we're seeing the same pattern emerge when it comes to Select Committee consideration, a constrained time for New Zealanders, for Wellingtonians to have a say. Now, what we're concerned, of course, is we're going to get a less than ideal process. The point of having an open and appropriate length time for public consultation and processes through the Resource Management Act or Historic Places Act is so we make the right decisions. What we're concerned is we're not going to see the right decisions being made. We're not going to see maybe common sense decisions to mitigate an unfortunate side effect or impact of this project because the government wants to race it because they have run out of time, because they are poor managers, and that's the real reason why we have to go through this unprecedented step. So the Green Party wants to see it done right. We want to see proper processes, and that's why we will not be supporting this bill. We'll go into the Select Committee in a constructive manner. We'd like to improve this bill, but it's got to be pointed out, look, this road is only 5 years old. This road is only 5 years old, and this government, at a time of austerity, at a time of debt crisis, has all this money to dig up a road that is only 5 years old, and they have to do it through legislation because of their bad decision-making. It's a shocking state of affairs, Mr Speaker, and that's why I'm proud to be the party who's voting against it today.
What is this disgrace? Hate the military. Speaker.
I call the honourable member David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr